Okay, I am not wanting to make this video today because I'm kind of ashamed of myself. I didn't follow my rules and I have another loss today. Okay, so this is the 1 hour chart. You can definitely see it's trending up, and after that big drop, actually a big drop overnight as a matter of fact, it is recovering very nicely. So not a bad time to be getting into a long. Definitely I'm thinking long here as I zoom in closer and closer. I've marked the 20 SMA on the 15-minute chart here. And I think that, with the zigzaggy pattern, it's finding support at that level. You can kind of see it starting to find support there. So I think it'll probably be dropping down, but that's over a 20-point drop right through there. So that's going to be a lot. And I went into the 5-minute chart, marked the 20 SMA is actually on the 50 SMA on the 5-minute chart. So that is a pretty good support area here. But you can also see that it's also kind of found support at a shorter place here at the 20 SMA on the 5-minute chart here. So it's possible that it won't drop all the way down to here just because it is having a nice recovery overnight here. And we'll see. I don't know. The only thing here that I'm finding too is that there is a definite loss of momentum on the RSI. So, and this is pretty high. So my guess at this point in the scenario here is that it's going to have enough momentum to break past that. I put in an alert just to kind of keep an eye on that area. All right, 1 minute, and I am fighting the temptation to get into a short because I really think it's going to be dropping. How far I don't quite know, at least to there, but goodness, that's a good trade right there. If I did, that would be like 200 at least if I got in at that point. So that's a good enough trade to make, and it's possible it'll drop even further. So that's what this would look like right through here, and my stop would be up here. This is actually not a great place to get in because it's right at the support. But yeah, oh my goodness, that would be huge if it dropped all the way down to here, and that would be even good if it went only down to here. All right, so it immediately bounced back up, and I thought, yeah, that's why I don't make a trade counter trend, which is going up. I really want it to drop first, and then I get into a long. This is what I'm thinking at this point, which I might be focused a little bit more on the longer term than I should be. But that, I don't know. It's hard to say. All right, so I did not actually make this trade because it is counter trend, and I'm waiting for a drop so I can get into a long, is what I'm thinking. All right, but again, when I'm looking at the 1, 5, and even 15-minute charts, as we'll see, it looks like a drop is going to be the next big move, and it's a big move. It's a 20-point move, so that is enough for a scalper to trade on. And unfortunately, it is a counter trend sort of move, so it's a little bit more risky. And that it is often the way it is first thing in the morning, it seems like, because the big moves have been made overnight when I'm sleeping, not trading. Anyway, all right. So I decided at this point, yeah, I really think it's going to be dropping. I'm going to get in here. This is a really good setup. I'm happy with everything that I'm seeing here. And I'm locked in. I'm going to be a break-even trade or better. All right. And yeah, it fizzled. It went up and I got stopped out. So I didn't make anything on that one, but I didn't lose anything. As you can see down here, I actually made $12.50. So I covered my commissions. All right. Going out to the 15-minute chart. The MACD is starting to really lose momentum and starting to turn. All right, and there's a pretty decent drop right through there. So since we're counter trend, I went over to the MES to scale back my risk level, and I'm getting into a short here for contracts, so less than half the size of the other one. All right, and this is the 5-minute chart. This is where I think it's probably going to go. All right, kind of hanging around where I got in, and oh, let me go back and look at that again. See the MACD right through here? This is 15-minute. We're even gaining more and more momentum dropping here. Okay, the 5-minute chart is dipping down. That is a rejection wick right through here. Oh, and we're 3 minutes after the opening bell at this point. So I actually did hold an order in over the opening bell, but it was a very small trade. It was the MES. So I think that justifies that. And it kind of stagnated right through here, so I kind of freaked out, got out. But that was a profit trade of a little over $100, if I'm not mistaken. So I could have had more, probably, but I got out. All right, so I went back to the next slide and then went back again. Because I do believe it continued to drop, and I kind of was kicking myself for not just holding on, because I could have made, $300 there instead of the 100. But I always talk myself into playing it more conservatively and just getting out at a smaller profit instead of waiting it out. And I don't really regret that. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. And I was also kind of justifying that in my mind and trying to deal with it emotionally by saying, well, it's best to just get the first part of the move, get out, wait for it to make the real move that you're waiting for. And I wanted to get into a long. I still want to get into a long here. All right, so this is where I think it's going to be finding support and going up. And I went back to the ES because this is the real move. So this is a little bit more risk on the table. I really think the potential for it to get all the way up to here is there. I really see that happening. And this is a really good setup. We're showing some pretty strong support levels right through there, and power momentum going up here at this point. So I'm very happy with this. All right, this is back to the 15-minute chart. This is the only thing that I'm kind of concerned about is on the 15-minute chart, the MACD is way high, and it's just now forming a death cross right through here. So that's not good. The only thing I'm kind of holding on to is that we are sitting at a support level here, and sometimes that is all it takes to push it back up again. And I'm not expecting it to get very far on the 15-minute chart. You can see it's like only to the body of the candles right through here. So we'll see. But it continued to drop a little bit further, and I put it in there, but I never actually placed the trade, and I missed it. It would have been fine. And now it's almost all the way up there, and I missed it. I went back and looked at the chart. This is the candle where I would have gotten in, and I had my stop set at this point right here, right where I have the line. So yes, I would have gotten stopped out had I just set it and then left the room. I would have gotten stopped out by two ticks. So, and the other thing is too, if I had just brought it down just a little bit further, it didn't even get up to the place where I had my exit order at 461, which was right here at this line. So it's possible that, with that great big move right through there, I would have come back and then I would have seen like, oh yeah, this is at a good spot. I would have raised up my stop and gotten out. It's very possible. But even after it dropped back down, it still didn't quite reach that point. In fact, if you look at today's chart, it wouldn't have filled until about 10:46. So there's no way I would have hung on that far. There's no way. Especially after this big drop. That would have knocked me out for sure. And this is where I went wrong. This is where my day kind of started to spiral downwards because I was so disappointed. I had to go to the bathroom. And I missed it. I missed the big move that I was looking for, and I could have made a great trade right through there. But anyway, I missed it, and that really upset me. Kind of mad at myself. And so I really wanted to make a trade, and I felt like, okay, well, I missed that one. Now it looks like it's turning and dropping, so I jumped into a short pretty quickly. This is like I got back to the table really quick and quickly placed a trade before I really looked at the whole big picture, because I thought, well, it's going to move pretty fast here. So I jumped into a trade here, and let's see, it's looking like it's moving the right direction. I jumped out to the 15-minute chart to do my analyzing. I was like, okay, I think I'll be fine. Went to the 5-minute. Nice big rejection wick. I'm already at $112 profit. This is looking really good. So I locked in just less than 100. And I actually got stopped out there, which is kind of unfortunate because I think there's a bigger drop coming. So I got stopped out, but I did make a profit. And then I thought, well, I think it's dropping still, so I jumped back in, but now we're not at a great place to get in. And I have a really tight stop because they don't have a lot of buffer room here, and got stopped out again. So now you can see I'm starting to make these quick trades without really thinking through and analyzing. I'm reacting at this point. I kind of knew it, but I also knew that my window of time was closing very rapidly on trading, and I was frustrated, and I felt like I did have myself at a profit level here, and so I felt like I could probably take a little bit more of a risk. Here I've made 4 trades, and only one of them is a loss, and that was not a bad loss. I've actually made a little bit of money here, so I felt like keeping to trade, trading was a good idea. All right, so 15-minute chart, I misspelled this, but will it drop and do a retest down here at this level, or is it going to bounce at this point? The MACD on the 15 still saying it's going to drop. When you zoom into the 5-minute, it looks like it's starting to make a recovery. This is a pretty decent recovery look. So I think if I do a long and getting in here, that's not bad. If you get into the 1-minute chart, kind of looks like maybe we've already missed the move. If we are going to do this, I'd really like to get in down here more and make a trade more like this kind of a setup. All right, well, here's my chance. It made a big drop, and so I just jumped in. Now, I got in too quick because that being such a great big drop like that, I should have waited till I saw a better recovery area. It's almost 10 o'clock. It's 9:56, and it's still surprisingly fast. It's moving pretty quickly here. And I didn't grab it because it happened so fast, but I did get stopped out. And that would be a $150 loss right through there. All right, so got stopped out, and then I thought, well, I'm going to try doing this. Since it is moving so fast, I'm going to place a market order so it will fill immediately where it sits, which is a little bit risky. A limit you set specifically where you want to get in, but I feel like it's going to probably jump up pretty quickly, and I want to make sure that I get in because there's enough room here to make a good trade. So I jumped in after it had dropped quite a bit more. Jumped in here, and I'm expecting it to get up to that point. It looks like it's maybe a good setup, but it is kind of changing trend right now. Short term anyway, it's starting to drop, and it got stopped out. And what I didn't realize was I actually had kind of forgotten to watch my bottom line, my loss, and I got stopped out because I had the risk settings automatically set to manually lock me out when I reached a $300 loss. So that was a huge disappointment because at one point, the last I saw, I'd actually was sitting in a profit. But the last 2 trades, I made big enough losses that I knocked it all out. and then I got stopped out. So that was tremendously frustrating. The profit that I made last Friday was $365. So I have lost all of that and just a little tiny bit more. And kind of frustrated, I went out. This is where I really started to go downhill. I decided, so I noticed last time that I couldn't change it after I got manually locked out. Well, this time I went back in and it looked like I could change it. For some reason, it allowed me to change it. So I did change it. I gave myself up to $400 loss, which is like a $60 buffer. And then immediately lost that. I didn't even grab the trade. It happened so fast. So I've lost $62.50 more. And it was frustrating because I was playing around with a trade and I made a good guess, and if I had been able to get in, if I hadn't had to go back and change all my settings and stuff so I could make a trade, I would have made about 300. So it's like, this is so frustrating. It's like, man, even if you predict correctly what's happening in the market, if you don't time it exactly right, it won't go well. All right, so I adjusted my settings one more time. I believe I put it on a $500 maximum loss to lock me out. And I backed way, way down on my risk settings. Now I'm only trading 2 of the MES, and it is after 10 o'clock at this point, so it's moving a little bit slower. I think it's pretty likely that it's going to be dropping. So I got into a short here, and then it started to go up. And about this time, I'm like, I'm a little worried that I got into the wrong side of a trade here. And then it would come back down, and then it went up again, and it stopped me out. I mean, that last trade was a $72 loss. It wasn't a huge loss, but still, it's like now I'm at a $506 loss for the day, and it just went downhill really quick. And I can kind of pinpoint it back to that last trade when I went out to the bathroom and came back and missed it. I'm like, darn it, that made me so mad. So then I started making bad decisions. So anyway, I did not follow my rules today.